So our first movie that we're going to be reviewing is Creed 3. Creed 3, like I said, is the third film in the Creed franchise. It is the spinoff of the Rocky franchise, which had 6 movies itself. So all together with the Rocky franchise, including the Creed movies, this is the 9th film. And this is directed by Michael B. Jordan. This is his directorial debut. The star himself, Adonis Creed. And Michael B. Jordan said coming to this movie, there was going to be a lot of anime influences bringing in this because he is a big fan of anime himself. And you can kind of see that, especially during the fight scenes and some of that, and some of this movie, especially during the end of it. You'll see a kind of a lot of DBZ, Naruto, with some of the things I kind of saw reference in this film. Maybe if you're a more hardcore anime fan, you'll notice something else. So this movie deals with a new antagonist in Jonathan Majors, who plays Dame, an old childhood friend of the Adonis character who's come back, just got out of prison, been in prison for close to 20 years, and kind of wants another chance at life again. He was a former boxer, just like Adonis was, and he kind of wants a chance to be on top again. And that kind of comes into conflict with Adonis's character, trying to give him a chance, trying to, do a little bit of redemption of the way that he treated him and the way that he left him to kind of out in the cold when they were kids. So that's kind of the setup here. And you see kind of the beginning of this movie, you see that Adonis, he's, living high on life, got a beautiful family, wife, daughter. You see that, he's at the top of his game. He just retired. The movie opens up with him having his final fight and winning, and it's just like everything is great, everything is awesome until Jonathan Majors shows up and just kind of wreaks havoc there, as you see. So with the Creed franchise, I love the first one. Big fan of the first one. I think it's the second best of all these movies, including the Rocky movies. So I enjoyed that a lot. And also, speaking of the Rocky itself, Sylvester Stallone, he is not in this movie. That was kind of a big point of contention for some people with this third film, was that he's not going to be in it. There's a conflict between Sylvester Stallone and the producer of these movies. So there's kind of a big beef kind of going on between them. So that's the reason he's not in this. They do make slight references to him in the movie. They don't kill him off screen, so don't worry about that. They don't say that, Poochie went to the home planet or nothing like that. They don't do nothing like that. So they just kind of just make some small references to him. But like I said, Creed, I think, is the second best out of all this franchise. Creed 2, I wasn't really too big of a fan of. The whole introduction of Drago's son and everything like that. I thought it was kind of a retread of the first movie. This one, I think I like kind of what it's doing, even though with its kind of setup and premise, very much, it's kind of typical, the old childhood friend that you did wrong, and then they're coming back in your life, and there's some tension there. Yes, that is very cliche, but I think a lot of stuff is raised with, the material is raised above with the direction of Michael B. Jordan, who, kind of makes sense that he'd be a good director, given the fact that he's been in Hollywood for a long time. I mean, he was a childhood actor. He was on the show The Wire. So he's been acting in a lot of productions for a very long time. And I think he does a good job here. And some of the flair that he adds to the fight scenes, because I thought also with a lot of these Creed movies, one thing they do really have above the Rocky movies is the boxing scenes. I think the boxing scenes are top tier, and they do a lot of good flair with those. So I think he does a good job there. And bringing in Jonathan Majors, who is hot right now. He is a hot ticket right now, from things like Devotion, from things like Lovecraft Country, Last Black Man in San Francisco, Ant-Man and the Wasp, this movie, Creed 3. He is a hot commodity right now, and everybody is, his name is on the basically tip of everyone's tongue, and praising him left and right for how good of an actor he is. And again, I think he puts in a good performance here as the Dame character. So I'm going to pass it around a little bit, get everybody's kind of thoughts on this. Ant, what are some of your thoughts on Creed 3?
I think Michael B. Jordan should be favorite for best director nod. I think he did incredible. I think this is the best looking sports movie I've ever seen. I think he doesn't have the technical prowess of Ryan Coogler. I think when you watch those original The Creed. When you watch that first Creed movie, like just the boxing scenes on a technical level were just crazy. Like no punch. You know, it doesn't do that thing where an obvious punch wasn't really a punch, or it's like a they just hide the boxing element really well. I remember ducking and weaving a lot in that first Creed movie. I think what has been replaced that with that technical proficiency is like really good storytelling, some really creative metaphorical stuff, um, some visual flair that you mentioned. I mean, every fight feels different here. The second fight is like just a gritty. It's like It's just like a gritty, almost like a brawl. You're just watching thing. It's hard to watch. I mean, there's a moment with the mouthpiece, that just shook me to my core. And so I think this is I think it's better than Creed One. You know what I'm saying? I think we said Jonathan Majors is amazing. I mean, that dude is like he has a screen presence that is like amongst A-listers. Like when I look at like Angelina Jolie, is like you just turn on the camera and she'll just give a look, and it's box office, right? I think like he's on that Leo, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Tom Hanks, Denzel level of just charisma and on screen just presence. And yeah, I mean, I think Creed 2 is kind of like the Thor Dark World of the Thor movies, right? Like you kind of have the first movie that's like the solid start, really grounded. You have the second one that kind of scales up and then kind of fails, and then the third movie brings some of that personal kind of smaller scale stuff, and then also brings a new flair and the scale from the previous movie. And I don't know. I feel like this is the best movie I've seen in a long time. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is since then. I think this is the best movie I've seen since then, and he should be favored. Like I said, he should be favored for best director.
Interesting. Dusk.
Um, yeah. So we have the first three movies. We have the first one, which honestly revitalized uh, the franchise to a point. Rocky Balboa was a great way to end the franchise. Just that was just Sylvester Stallone coming in and going, "All right, I'm done." I didn't like how five turned out. I'm just gonna kind of wrap it up this way and end it. And he thought he was done with it. And then many years later, Ryan Coogler and Michael Jordan and a few other characters like, well, we kind of want to see if we could have a kind of different character and kind of tell a different story. And he was kind of worried about it. And then he said, but you know what? I'll give you guys a chance. Why not? And it ended up turning out into a really solid movie. It was a similar retread of the first Rocky movie, but it had its own style and its own similarities. And well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it ended up being really good. The second movie, I think what I still enjoy that movie, but it is unfortunately the black sheep, at least of this trilogy, where I want to love it more, but in a weird way, it doesn't provide enough. There's an A and B story in it, where Michael B. Jordan's character as Adonis is, oh, I just won in the title. I want to do this and this, and then later on, there's the Rocky conflict between him and Drago, and there's not enough of either side to really kind of finish it. Almost kind of tries to find a balance, but it ends up not working for really either, and so it feels a bit lopsided. But overall, I mean, the fights were solid, and it was pretty good. But then we reaches this to this one. But just like you said, he's at the top of his game. He ends on a title fight, and it's like, okay, well, now I have a life after. And then all of a sudden, a friend comes in. I think Jonathan Majors does an excellent job. It's right to be so that he is getting a lot of work right now. He's excellent in this. It's this what could have come off as a very boring character, a very samey character. You can just see what kind of a broken individual he is. This person who was so close to getting what he wanted and just had to watch someone else and life pass him by for many, many years. And now he's like, okay, let's go. I want to hit back right where I was going, and the world's kind of passing by, and they're like, oh, slow down. He's like, no, there ain't no slowing down. I got to keep going. He's like, everyone else is on a different time as I got to keep going. So he just delivers that great energy. And I think he more than makes up for a script that's okay. I think the script itself and the dialogue, I think it's all serviceable. It's very workmanlike. It's a very solid script, but it's never. I never was like going, "Oh, this is really great. This is really good, great dialogue back and forth." But it's made up for the performances. I think it's taken him a bit, but Michael B. Jordan really has found his character as Adonis. I think he really is a good kind of experience where he's like, okay, I know what this character is. I know what he's kind of dealing with. I know what he would kind of do as a reaction. I think he does a good job of presenting that. And I think as for a first directorial debut, this is a very good example. And I would keep his team in any future if he's going to do so, because the cinematography in here is really solid. And I would continue with that. I think the first two fights are the best. And then when you kind of go to the third one, I did enjoy the experimentation, but I do feel it lost a little bit its grit at the very end when you kind of take it to that level, even though I did enjoy it. As for the side characters, a lot of small stuff is introduced here and there, but we really don't have a lot of time to really deal with it. A lot of things are kind of told to us, but we don't really see. And I think that's unfortunately where some of that falls apart for me, where we have his relationship between Bianca, who's now his wife, and now she's producing. She's not on stage as often because she wants to keep her hearing. And that's great, but we're kind of told that this is hard for her, but we don't really get to see it. We get one little scene, and I kind of needed more of that to see this kind of tearing at the scenes, and it didn't really go there. Even though I think she's played very well, and she does a great job. But that's my feeling on it as kind of a rounding of characters and the story as a whole.
Okay.
I agree with you that Jonathan Majors is like not the deepest character. I think this movie, you could describe it as efficient. I'm thinking back to The Fighter, and it was so clear that David O. Russell did not care about the boxing in that movie.
Oh my god, yeah.
Even Creed 2, it feels like the side story, the human element was just like a afterthought. It's all about recreating it's all about referencing, Rocky 4, whatever. I feel like,
hold on. Is Ant is
video.
Yeah, you kind of frozen there, Ant.
But we can still hear you.
Yeah.
I have a slow computer. I'm gonna power through.
Okay.
No, what was that? No, but it's efficient, right? I agree that I don't think any of us are gonna say Michael B. Jordan is a great actor. But I always compare it to like Jackie Chan. I don't think Jackie Chan is the best actor, right? I don't think Jean-Claude Van Damme is the best actor. I don't think Sam Liu is the best actor. But like essentially in these kind of roles, it's about being charismatic and then kind of fulfilling the action stuff. If you get a Bruce Willis, it's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what makes Bruce Willis like kind of great. If you get a Robert Downey Jr., more power to you. He's not on that level, but like when he's joking around or when it's just two people sitting down, I feel like they feel like real characters. I think they bring that from the movie really well, and it's like it goes really fast. It goes really fast. There's a death that happens that doesn't get brought back up again, but it's kind of like Marvel pacing. Like it's kind of like the boring shit. It's gonna be effective. And then we're gonna go through it. Also, this is a gorgeous looking movie, so I think visually he kind of covered it. But I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Like I said, man, Jonathan Majors is just box office. If you got anybody else you know what it is? He's just unpredictable. He would just do stuff where it's like why? I don't know a human that would act like that. It's a really dynamic performance because it's like there's a scene where he's just out on the beach, and he's just like. Just scary. Like it's just like what you don't know what he's gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you. I think this is like a 3 out of 5 script that's elevated to 5 out of 5 through the directing and through the acting. And I don't have a problem with that because that's not what this movie's about. It's about striking that balance between the fights and the human drama.
Yeah. Yeah. Jonathan Majors, people raise the question, is it a situation where, he's kind of acting circles around Michael B. Jordan in this? I think Michael B. Jordan is a strong actor. I think he's pretty good in most stuff. Jonathan Majors, they said that after this, they want to have a Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese type relationship after this. Like maybe, they're going to do more movies together. So I'd be excited to see that. And yeah, I mean, like you said, I think, to speak again about Michael B. Jordan's direction in this, I think it is very good. And, when you see some of the fights, I kind of likened it. I mean, I see the anime stuff in there, but I also see, like, if you remember the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movie from 2009, like there's the scene kind of in the movie where, Sherlock Holmes like breaks down everything, like with the guy he's fighting. He's like, oh, if I hit him here, then this is going to hurt and this is going to break. And if I do this, this is what's going to happen. And it's all kind of in slow motion. It's very good use of kind of slow motion and everything like that. And it's a really great scene to really tell you much about the character. And I think that was very good the way it was used in Creed, was of how he's really studying, kind of the person that he's fighting against and how much of a smarter fighter that he's become over the course of these movies. Dusk was speaking about the other characters here. You have Tessa Thompson, who's in this, who plays his wife. I like her character. I liked, her in the other two movies. She's got her kind of own story of being a singer, and then also her suffering from, hearing loss, and that's kind of progressively getting kind of worse, and she wants to preserve what she has left. So she's kind of, taking a little bit of a more of a back seat in terms of performing live, and now doing more of producing and writing for other artists. And it's interesting that, they try to do a little bit of a connection between her and the Jonathan Majors character of like, how does that feel? The fact that, you're doing this, for other artists, when it's like, but you're writing these songs that were meant for you, but you're doing it for other artists. Like, how does that feel? And like, they try to draw a little bit of a connection there. I wish this movie was longer. I wish it was maybe 20, 30 minutes longer, because I wish that we could have seen more of them as kids, and more of, Adonis and Dame when they were kids, and seeing that relationship grow, because, so many of this is like, they're saying like, this was my brother, this guy looked out for me, in the group home when nobody else did, this was my friend. I wish they showed more of that, and, speaking about the anime influences on this, because Jonathan Majors, he was talking about, Michael B. Jordan sitting him down and have him watch an anime, and bless Jonathan Majors, he didn't know probably what the hell he was looking at. He was just like, what the fuck is this? But by his best description, it seemed like, I think he was talking about, people were saying that he was talking about the fight scene between Naruto and Sasuke. And if you watch Naruto, it's about these two friends who you see them over the course of many seasons, become, kind of these, people who hate each other, they're becoming best friends, all of a sudden becoming enemies. And to see that kind of relationship develop, I just wish we had a little bit more of that, to see more of that relationship between the two of them grow there, before, because really the movie starts off really just with them as kids, and you see the inciting incident that leads Jonathan Majors' character to prison. So I just wish they did a little bit more of that. What are some of your thoughts on that there, Ant?
I hear you, but I feel like, again, that's not what the movie is about. I think this is like almost like a paper thin plot. So it's like, we're here to see the fights, right? Whatever justification we need to see these two people beat the shit out of each other, right? Would have been cool, but I also think that you've seen Creed 1, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, and you know what? I disagree. Actually, I disagree with Dusk. That's right. He said that he's becoming fully realized, man. I feel like this character, I think Creed 2 just lost it. Like, I think Creed 2 just kind of like this would be the perfect sequel to Creed 1, because I feel like we know what Adonis is. Like, he's petty. He's like the ultimate under. You know what it is? It's like Rocky is like the blue collar underdog, and then Adonis is kind of like, for lack of a better word, like the urban underdog, right? Like, influenced by like rap culture, like sports culture, and all that stuff. Like, Rocky was just a normal guy. This is what like a lot of like these are what like a lot of black entertainers, like, this is how they act, and I think they nailed that from the beginning. I think this is like an extension of that. I think this is building off perfectly from that first movie as well. As far as them being friends, I mean, I felt it, like, and again, I think Jonathan Majors can act circles around anybody, like Paul Rudd is a very good actor. He acted around him. Like, he's just incredible as well, to your point before. But I feel like you understand him, you understand them. I think it works. You know what I'm saying?
Dusk, what's your opinion on that?
I can see what you mean when you're talking about he didn't feel fully realized. I think honestly, it mostly comes from the direction he's utilizing in this movie. That it's like, okay, he's kind of being centered. But I agree, Jonathan Majors is directing, at least the acting circles on a lot of the scenes. He just has such a manic energy. There's so much tension and just he's Michael J. Jordan's just playing Adonis, like trying to be calm, trying to be whatever, trying to pretend that he's not who he is. I think that's a theme I liked about it. Is yeah, you surround yourself with all this, but we all know who you are, and I do. Jonathan Major's character is just like, I'm just not gonna hide it. I know who I am, and you mess with me, you're gonna get torn apart, and I want it, and this is what I want. And so there's automatically a danger right from there. But he's also very charismatic. He also knows people's weaknesses. He's had spent a long time surviving, getting to know, in an environment that you need to be aware of your surroundings at all times. So him always being manic, even when outside, it makes sense. He's always looking around him, always got something on his shoulder. But I think the one thing I would have liked from this movie, I agree with you, Josh. I would have liked more time because the pacing is so quick. I'm like, okay, we could. I didn't really feel the length. We could have added another 20 minutes. I think this would be all right. I would have liked to seen more fights that Dame won, so that it comes off he's not just because the way it comes off, it almost like, oh well, he was just kind of like a fluke. It was like a fluke victory. I'm like, no. I want to see more of his technical fighting where he is a good fighter. He just does whatever it takes to win and just landing there because the next time we see him, he's in like he's just in this great position and he's like made some money. I'm like, how long has passed? What's the time? Right. What's the time here?
He was in a penthouse. Like he won one fight. He was in a penthouse.
Yeah, I'm like, you're one fight, bro. Like that doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. And I see maybe like 2 or 3 more fights, maybe like a brief montage of the TV. It's like, and another victory, and another challenger, and but I will say this: I'm happy that Creed 2 happened, at least in a way that it allowed Michael B. Jordan and Bianca's characters to also have an additional things to do. It allowed them to do a different dynamic, and it allowed them to cover an area that was doesn't really get talked to about in boxing. So I enjoy it for that. It's not a great movie. And if you compare that to one and this one, yeah, I think it definitely is lower on the totem pole. I think there's just not enough that covers both those sides. And a lot of the humanity that I think that would have brought it up to the level of these other two just isn't there. It's very surface level. And that's the unfortunate part. Shoot. But yeah, with this one, it's I do like the fact, though, that unlike in previous Rocky movies, and wasn't really started until Apollo Creed himself, I do like that you see a cameo between Ivan Drago's son, and then they are now kind of like enemies, becoming kind of sort of maybe even just becoming rivals, not necessarily
it's an anime
enemies.
trope.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's a fun trope.
It's good. I mean, I think that's what works about this one is that they bring in the references to Rocky, but it's like subtle. Like it's not as obvious, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to the second one, which is just literally just fan service.
Yeah. This Michael Jordan said he probably watched a lot of, but a lot of the boxing techniques, a lot of the way he was saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna hit him in the ribs and do this," that felt very Hajime no Ippo-esque, where it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna." This kind of a boxer, and they lean back and they do this, and he's going to curve with his elbow, and I'm going to hit you in this area. I'm like, okay, that's very. He's watched a few boxing anime at least. Got some ideas from that.
Yeah. I rolled my eyes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I rolled my eyes when he said anime influence because like we know what that means, bro. Yeah. I always have an image of somebody with like a half fro and like a faded DBZ shirt where it's like, oh, I like anime. It's like, all right, man. Yeah. Do you really? You know what I'm saying? Like, but. I think he undersold it. Like I think he undersold like kind of what he was going for. Because I think he captured the emotional nuance and like the metaphors of anime thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. I didn't want him to go. This is not a series to go full blown super over the top. I think what they did at the last fight was probably as far as you can really take it, without it just going and becoming Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
It was a great juxtaposition to the previous one, right? Because the first movie is like very straightforward.
Yeah. Pretty raw.
And then I don't even know if I would say that. Like the second fight in this one is like what I would say. It's like raw and like gritty, and it's disgusting. You know, I think like the first Creed is kind of like it's a soft reboot, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not trying too much. It's a layup, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's pretty straightforward. You know, like it's a good movie. It's one of my favorite movies, but it's not a lot of risk. And I like that this one is like more risky. You know, it's more out there. There's more interesting creative choices to the degree that I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of nervous because like I said, I've said it. I think Michael B. Jordan deserves Best Director. Top Gun Maverick is not as good as this movie. Like whatever I guess because I like Top Gun Maverick a lot, but this is way better in my opinion. Like it's more interesting visually. It has better acting. It's like it has way more nuance to this. But I'm scared that okay, well, with the artistic flair, you know, the anime stuff, that he's gonna get like snubbed for director consideration.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think there's enough technical. I think this. I may not love, but I think technically this movie is good. He had a solid team. The cinematography is well shot. I think there are certain scenes and certain editing moments where I'm like, kind of tilting my head a bit, but for the most part, I think it's a very solidly directed, and it's a very good start for if he wants to continue into a directorial career, especially in this franchise. I guess the biggest question I have for I guess everybody is, do you now that Rocky was not in this movie, do you at this point are fine with maybe Rocky just not even showing up again, or just staying as a cameo if he ever even shows up again at all? Do you think he's like, okay, it's his stuff now?
I would say, I mean, yeah, I think they overdid it with Creed 2. I mean, my head canon is that Rocky wanted to put himself in, or Sly wanted to put himself into the movie, and they were like, no. You watch Creed 2, and it's like how much the plot doubled back on itself to like, if it was so reductive too, like it felt like a rehash. You know what I'm saying? Creed 2, it's like, oh, I got the chip on my shoulder again. It's like, why?
Right.
This guy kill. If you blame this man for killing your father, you're not fixing that with a boxing match, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but the solution at the end of this movie was a boxing match. So I don't know how you could say that.
He didn't kill his father.
Yeah,
like, he didn't blame him for killing his father.
The lesson at the end of that second movie was, yeah, I'm angry at the end of it, but we both have suffered in different ways. I mean, Ivan Drago just completely, like, his career was gone in that second one. He was using his son as a pedestal, realized that was wrong at the end. That whole beef was all about ego. That's the whole point. Ego, like, get rid of that. So by this third one, it made perfect sense that he's like, I'm trying to push the ego down. I'm trying to just kind of do what I got to do. It felt like a step. 2 may not be great, but I'll defend at least it made attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a cartoon, but
yeah.
I feel like, I mean, like, because these movies are kind of, bro, it's like this motherfucker keeps fighting bigger and bigger guys.
Yeah.
At like 220.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, bro, this motherfuckers, they keep getting bigger. It's like, how? You know what I'm saying? And then Creed 2, here's what I'll say about it. It's like, and here's where I think Creed 2 messed up, is that Creed 2 really should have been called Drago, and really should have been a Drago, or like the Drago to Creed, and then Creed is the villain of Creed 2. Excuse me, Drago.
They are talking about
been,
possibly doing a Drago spinoff. They are talking about doing that.
But they should have started there. They should have started there.
But did they have the clout to do it at that time?
It doesn't matter. Like,
I get you.
We're talking about what makes the best movie. If you do a hook line, if you do a bait and switch and then give people a good movie and Michael B. Jordan's still in it, like, that'd be fantastic. But the like, because this dude, he's one of the best parts of this movie. That guy is an incredible actor, and then like they really did a lot with him, and it's just a shame that he's relegated to like, I don't know. I feel like they wasted that potential. But if you have it to be where Adonis is like kind of getting, it's kind of cocky, like he's kind of lost his step, he's not lost his step, but he's kind of lost his way a little bit. He's cocky, he's feeling himself, and then this Drago guy comes in, they fight. That's a way, and then that leads perfectly into this movie, right? Like, but my point about the whole thing was like, this to me felt like it's a little far fetched that because they don't have to fight, they don't have to box in this movie. Like, he could have just ignored. Yeah, no, it's like, yo, the emotional motivator for the second movie was like, this guy killed my father. You're not. It's the stakes are way higher. Like I guess that's what I'm saying is that like, it's Creed 2 is a sequel in every sense of the word, like your typical sequel. It's like bigger, it makes less sense, like the nuance is kind of removed. And again, what I appreciate about Creed 3 is that they've kept the scale, they've kept like the money, the budget, the production value is there, but they've made it more personal. You know what I'm saying? They made it more personal where it's like, it's not that, like, I'm thinking like this movie really could have been some corny shit where it's like, I'm going to kill your family. It's like, no, he was just talking shit. Yeah. he was just talking shit the whole time. And it was great. Yeah. I can relate so much. I can relate so much to Michael B. Jordan. People talking shit at me on Twitter, and it's like, yo, I could leave this shit alone for real, but I'm not about to. Like, I'm not a bitch. Like, it's like that dichotomy, I think, that, like, you know, black men feel where it's like, I'm trying to, like, have success. I'm not trying to get into the dumb shit. I'm not a bitch, you know? Like, I'm still a man at the end of the day. I think they nailed that dichotomy.
Well,
I guess you could say
anime punches someone in the face, knocks his sense into them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I think you say the main reason for them to fight here, I guess you could say, is that Adonis feels personally responsible, you know what I mean, for Dame and for everything like that. He kind of feels kind of personally responsible for that. And I think it's just about, you know, kind of letting go of that. And you mentioned how in the second one, it should have been mainly focused on Drago. And that kind of reminds me that, you know, this movie, one reason I kind of wanted to be longer is because, do you all remember the movie Warrior? Do you all remember that movie?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
It was a movie that came out in 2011. It was with Joel Edgerton and then Tom Hardy. It's two Rocky movies in one. It's a UFC movie, and I think if you did something like that here, where you really felt for both of them, you know what I mean, really both Adonis and both Jonathan Majors' character. I mean, you feel, I think, a little bit of sympathy for Jonathan Majors, but I think he's always really just positioned as
Shakespearean.
You know, as
yes,
just
he is.
You know, an antagonist. But if you did it where, you know what I mean, really, you know, you really felt something more for Jonathan Majors, if it had been a little bit longer of like, okay, I really want to see this guy win just as much as I want to see Adonis win. I think that would have been a little bit more powerful there. So again, I'm going to pass it around, give everybody final thoughts on this and then ratings there. I think this is a strong movie. I think it's better than the second one. I don't think it's quite as good as the first one was. But I still think it's a very strong outing, very good directorial debut from Michael B. Jordan, in all of his kind of visual flair, cinematography style choices there. I would love to see them continue a relationship, Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan, see that relationship continue. Jonathan Majors, of course, I mean, listen, he's always the best standout in everything he's in. People said that about Ant-Man. People said that about Devotion. People said that about Last Black Man in San Francisco. They always go like, this guy, Jonathan Majors, is good, and he is very good in this, and his tics, his movements, his, like you said, it's like he's trying to embody that guy of who's been, in prison for 20 years, and that kind of the way that he interacts with Adonis, that passive aggressive, type of kind of conversation that he's had, having with him is also very good and very good on Major's part. I don't think he completely just out trumps Michael B. Jordan in this. I think Michael B. Jordan has some good stuff here. Where he's talking with Tessa Thompson's character, and he delving more into his past, and we learn a little bit more about his history. I think the stuff with his daughter is here. Amara is her name. Where they do I think the girl in real life is also actually deaf, so that's pretty good. And they do sign language throughout the movie, so that's pretty good too. I think that stuff is very good. And I like the kind of relationship that he had with his family and with Jonathan Majors. So I think Michael B. Jordan's got a lot to chew on here, and Felicia Rashad as well. I think Felicia Rashad, who shows back up again as his adoptive mother in this, also does a very strong job, and I loved a lot of stuff there. And I thought that was some really powerful scenes between the two of them. So it's not like Michael B. Jordan is completely just like he's just a scrub in this movie. I think he's doing pretty good. So yeah, besides for some issues, like I said, wish it could have been longer. Wish you kind of fleshed some, had some more opportunity to more flesh the story out because, like I said, it does feel kind of rushed in moments where, like, Jonathan Majors' character, he wins the belt. Then all of a sudden, like that same night, he's having a beach party and he's got a DJ and an entourage, and I'm like, how the fuck does he have this already? Like, this is the same night. I'm like, what the hell is happening?
And then like a week or two later, it's just like, I'm on the penthouse, man. I got all this, and you're
That was
like,
crazy.
One
Crazy
fight.
Yeah,
One fight,
Wasn't that a
bro.
great scene though? Wasn't that a great scene though?
Oh, it's
like
funny.
that felt like the Straight Outta Compton with the Suge Knight, where it's like, yo, what the hell is just get out of there. Like, fuck everything you're talking about. Get out of this situation. Like, that shit was amazing.
Yeah, so that was just that was a little some of it, like I said, had kind of the pacing of it felt a little off there, but that was kind of wild. Yeah, but so for me, I would give this a good tune in. For me, I'd give it a good tune in. Ant, what about you, man?
I think I disagree with y'all. I think in making the movie longer, you just the second movie was too long. It's like you just open yourself up to more risk, I suppose. Like that you could have stuff that like isn't as compelling. Like when I watched this movie and I was like, oh my god, it's over. Like I always prefer that to like, God, when is this movie gonna end? Like I'm tired of the Batmans. You know what I'm saying? Like they're saying John Wick 4 is about to be 3 hours,
I
bro.
don't need that to be 3 hours.
Man, like the Marvel Ant-Man 3 was 2.5 hours somehow. Like, nah, bro, get me the fuck out the theater, please. No, this is what I would describe as like, aside from some stuff, I'm laughing because Josh was like, yeah, he's got like beach party, there's hoes all of a sudden, he's got a gang all of a sudden. It's like, yo, what he was riding the bus like last week. Like, no, you're right. But aside from little stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, the excuse me. There's a death that happens that doesn't get brought up again. Aside from little stuff like that, I mean, I think this is a perfect movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is a 10 out of 10 directorial effort. I think the acting is incredible. I think you got Tessa Thompson in here is amazing. You know what I'm saying? You got like Felicia Rashad. Also, what I liked real quick is that normally Felicia, they captured the black mother so fucking well. It's like that tenderness, but that fucking tough love. Oh my god, you know what I'm saying? It was nice that she was like morally in the wrong. Like she, you know what I'm saying? Like after the first movie, like this is a perfect companion piece to the first movie. This is an amazing sequel. I would give it like, I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 because I know no movie is perfect. Like 9.5 out of 10. This to me, this is a fucking amazing movie.
So we would probably, this is cinema. That's our highest rating. This is cinema. So you probably
Y'all are good. This is cinema. This is true cinema. Yeah, for sure. This is lit.
yeah. All right. Dusk.
Overall, it's a good whooping like third movie. It's technically very good. It is good. I mean, it's just like it's good acting all around. I think everyone plays their part. They do everything. Dialogue could have been better. Some of the pacing could have been a bit better. But overall, I think it's a strong showing, especially for a first directing debut from an actor. And I would keep that crew if you're going to continue doing so. So, because of all that, I'd say it's a solid tune-in. Definitely check it out.
Nice. This is cinema. Strong tune in. And another tune in for Creed 3.